You're listening to a 4x4 Radio Network podcast.
Hey Jeepers, welcome to On the Trail with Kevin and Scott. I'm Kevin, the engineer, the guy that reads instructions, uses mostly the right tools and follows those instructions most of the time, unless I'm deliberately being creative. And sitting over here chortling is...
I am Scott. I'm the slapstick parts guy who has now found his laugh again and the ability to have joy in my life. And even though it's... I'm getting there.
You're getting there.
I found my smile again, thanks to everyone, and I appreciate that. And pretty much it's my job to make sure that Kevin makes sure I'm okay, and the listeners make sure I'm okay, and everyone else makes sure I'm okay, so I'm okay. With that, I also try and do the occasional fart joke, knock-knock joke, and thanks to my nephews, some really inappropriate fart jokes. I think I covered fart jokes, didn't I?
You did.
Okay,
but
good.
As we always say, though, we are still going to continue to share with you what worked for us as well as what didn't. Like speaking tonight.
Yes.
This is a late night recording. This is evening talk with On the Trail.
Yeah. No, On the Trail After Dark.
Oh, On the Trail.
Yeah. And while we will share what worked with us as well as what different, like trying to remember this. Yes.
We both...
Remember, it's up to you to do your research, read the instructions.
And please follow those instructions.
Yes.
They worked hard on them. Even the little guy doing translation from Chinese.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we're basically sitting here in my sister-in-law's living room because Kevin decided to come on way out here to the undisclosed location in Central Florida where the mosquitoes are the size of seagulls and the alligators are the size of Godzilla.
Yeah, well, it is the Florida bird and the Florida pet dog. Oh no, they ate the pet dog, didn't they? No, sorry.
No, now we need some hate mail for that. Jeez.
I'm sorry. It happened on my community in the pond.
Oh, no.
A little yipper went yip, 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 splush.
Oh, boy.
Fluffy, where are you, Fluffy?
Burp.
Sorry. Exactly. So, anyway, now we are moving forward.
Yeah.
Every day is a new day.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we have... This is getting too common, Scott, when we have sad news. But folks, another Jeeper has left us from down here in Florida, another good friend of ours. And he was one of our inner circle of friends.
Yeah.
And I won't go into great detail on behalf of his family and his wife, but I will make a plea to people, if that's all right, Scott.
No, I think it's good.
And that is, if a friend admits to suffering from a form of mental illness, please do not belittle him or her. Please do not go, just man up and get over it.
Yeah.
Mental illness, things like anxiety, depression,
you name it.
You name it, are in fact as deadly a disease as corona.
Yeah.
And a little bit sadder when the individual chooses to end their own life.
Yeah, and anybody can be affected by it. His wife was actually an ambassador for Mission 22.
For Mission 22.
And so he went to all the events.
And so it's a sad one. And Bryan, buddy, I wish you well. Yeah. So beyond that little sad point, that is next show we really need to not have this.
This is becoming too much of a common occurrence. But on the lighter note, though, in all honesty and fairness, I put a post on a Facebook page thanking everyone for the generosity and kindness in reaching out. And, again, a big thank you to Brandon and Tony over at the Jeep Talk Show, the guys over at Northwest Jeepcast. Everyone, all the podcast family reached out to make sure I was okay, including a lot of listeners. And I am okay. Like I said, I found my smile, my smirk.
I can attest to that it is back, and he is shooting from the hip again. Mm-hmm. Mostly normally. Every once in a while, he'll pause an unusual second or two, but then a zinger will come out. And
Well, just like Les Claypool from Primus said, they all can't be zingers. Sometimes you trip up a little bit, but that's okay. It knocks you down a peg, makes you human.
Okay.
I promise that was a microphone. I didn't fart. I am sorry.
No, he just pulled a piece of paper out from the legs of the tabletop microphone, and it had a nice little harmonic there.
Yeah.
And of course, he can mimic it.
Oh, great. Does that mean Scotty's beaming us down? Sorry.
You're Scott. Stop and think sometimes. It hurts, I know, but try it.
Interesting conversations late night when everything turns to warm root beer and water from the fridge.
Well, that's about it, yes. I'm sitting here with a bottle of Mandarin Orange, not root beer.
Well, okay. It sounded cool the other way.
Well, whatever works for you.
It's
whatever
radio.
works for you. So, anywho.
Yes.
Back to normal Jeep-related stuff. This is a Jeep podcast.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to throw out there, folks, although it's a little late, registration for Jeepin' with Judd next year is open.
Yep.
In 45 minutes, every single specialty event sold out.
Yeah.
I think people were like, no, 2020 was closed. 2021 was pretty weak as far as participation. So now 2022, it's balls to the wall.
No, they want to get out.
They want to get out. So, I haven't even registered yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
I got to make sure that I'm not in the middle of moving. That's another little tidbit. We've mentioned it off and on, but I'm in the process of building a new home, and along with that will be a new shop where new creations will come from.
Getting closer.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But the shop hasn't broke ground yet, so it'll be back to just working out of a 3-car garage in a new location. It does have a nice new location for a studio that we can, and there'll be less of the neighborhood noises.
More moo cows.
I was going to say there might be a little out the front window, but
that'll just be my stomach growling.
Well, that could be too. Let's see what else.
Jeeptoberfest. By the time it comes out, Jeeptoberfest should be happening right around the corner.
Yep.
And also, Christy Johnson with Crawling for the Fallen will also be happening in the beginning of November.
That's right.
Yep, that'll be those two events will be coming on, and then again. As far as everything else goes, I think they still have a couple of tickets left for the LJ, but check out with the Off-Road United page to find out more on that.
Right.
And we'll be doing the night ride reading of the names.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, things are pretty much going. The Jeep Gladiator is staying true to its form. Just empty every pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got the dreaded rear axle seal leak.
Right.
Well, it's a weep. And all the forums are all ablaze about this, but Kevin and I were talking about this before we started recording and it's a quite common question that's coming up is, are they just going to replace it with the same parts that fail? So in 30,000 miles, I'm going to have the same problem? Because I have a July build 2020, and at 32,000 miles, it started to weep.
And that seems to be right in line with the trend.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the fact, and I asked him, and so I'm going to throw this out to the listenership. If any of you out there either are working in a garage, or know somebody, or are good friends with somebody in a authorized Jeep service center that's doing the warranty repairs, I'm curious if we have any feedback. I haven't found why it's failing. Mm-hmm. And we started talking about it, and I realized that, we don't know. Is it the seal itself bad, the rubber seal, the wrong compound, or maybe a bad mix? It's gone on for a long time if it was that.
Yeah.
Or is there a manufacturing defect? Is it the seal of the seal, the rim mount of it, where it hooks to the axle? Is that leaking? Did they not use enough sealant there?
Right.
We're going to use the word seal a whole lot here, Scott. Be ready for that. Yeah. Or is it something along the lines of a bad tolerance on machining of the axles? Is it too rough?
Yeah.
Okay. Or is the wear area not where the seal's riding? Now, we have had that happen on older models where the seals really were too close to the edge of the polished areas. And so right now, or it could be leaking not at the seal at all, but at the axle flange where it bolts on to the brake assembly and then captures the seal. We don't know. Yeah. And we've looked at Scott's, but all we see is that it's weeping diff fluid.
You were saying maybe the bearing too. Yeah.
What if the bearing is gone or the machining is off center? Will make the shaft wobble a little bit. And if it wobbles, the seal can't seal. Now, if the shaft is not rotating and spinning on its axis, if it's orbiting, rather than spinning, every time it orbits away from the seal, that seal spot will leak a little bit. And of course, that's going all the way around. So you get a continual leakage. So I'm very interested. If any of you have any feedback on that, please go ahead and email us or Facebook us on what you found out and, the situation, because I think it would help others make a decision. If it's a seal material, that's self-correcting because the manufacturers, once the stock's gone, they're going to come out with the new material. If it's a machining issue in the axle, well, that's a whole nother issue to take up with Chrysler. And I'm worried that it might be something like that because we haven't heard what's wrong.
Yeah.
And if you don't hear what's wrong, it usually means somebody's trying to decide if this is a recall or not.
Well, that's one of the things that keep coming up in the Gladiator forums. And guys, a little sidebar here. Everyone keeps saying, anybody not have problems? I'm kind of worried about buying a vehicle. And I can tell you right now, for working for a premium Japanese manufacturer, everybody's got problems. I mean, I have like over 20 recalls right now on this car. So again, there are no golden bullet cars that can there's no problems with. Everything has a little bit of problem. It's just what problem are you willing to suffer with? I mean, it's a nitnoid thing, an axle seal leak. So
it's not bad. And right now, most of them are not dripping where they get on the brakes. They're just leaving a wet stain on the back of the backing plates. And the rate of leakage is. Have you even had to add diff fluid?
Nope. I went up there and checked it, and it's still full. And then I asked, the dealership, and they said, "Well, you can bring it in. We can give you a loaner, or you can just drive it until it goes bang. But we have the parts on order, which are on back order.
Yep.
But they said we'll call you when it comes in. If it starts leaking bad, check it. Check it every couple of days. If you start noticing the inside the wheel.
Yeah.
Then bring it in, and we'll get you the loaner car." And I said, "Well, as long as till then, I'll drive it."
Yeah. So. Be interested in your experiences. So you can email us.
onthetrailpodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can Facebook us. And or message us from the Facebook page. All of those, Instatalks and Facegrams and
Insta-Twitter. That's right. Facegrams and Twitters. You remembered it. I'm really proud of you.
So I don't use any of them. You do.
There's a good chance while you're texting me on the Facebook or Messenger or Instagram or whatever, I'm sitting on the couch. I thought you were going to say something else, didn't you? But no, I'll reply.
I would guarantee you're sitting on your butt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But,
But one of the other things, too, I'm thinking about, I'm tossing around the old noggin is, how I can do an homage to Dory. She had a whole bunch of stuff for her Jeep, and I got a couple ideas. It's going to be a bench build, and kind of budget because I got to go back to school.
Got to finish school, yeah.
Got to finish my school. But one of the things I am noticing, I'm like, let's just go see how tires are because I sell tires at work all day. Now I know why Ron at Red Scorpion and Mark Lawson don't get tires anymore. If you want a 37 or 35-inch tire, good luck.
Yeah, if you can find them, and then they're deucedly expensive. But there's hope. There's hope. I went last weekend to Lowe's to buy a sheet of 3/4 plywood for a project.
Right.
And I took
a home loan out?
I was ready for it, and it was, I would tell you, 30 to 45 days ago, it would have been almost $80 for that sheet.
Right.
$32.
Okay.
So it's getting back to normal. And 2x4s were still a tad expensive, but it was only like $360 each rather than $8 each. So lumber's beginning to stabilize. Now, the rest of the world and the rest of the products, maybe not quite so much.
Yeah.
At least lumber's coming from mostly our forests.
Yeah.
A lot of it's going to other countries rather than staying here, but I get it. They're selling to whoever will pay the most.
Yeah.
If your tires still have tread on them, I'd go ahead and run what you got for a while. Yeah. It's not like we're headed to Moab next week.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things with, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm pretty much going to wait till these tires are done. And I got about the way I drive, another 20,000 miles on them.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've got a ways to go.
Yeah. I'm not.
And then of course, we have another project that really needs to be done before those. No offense.
Well, come on. It's on brand if I procrastinate.
Well, this is true. But on the other hand, the last time I got under the LJ and grabbed some of the lower control arms, they could probably dance the cucaracha without help.
There's a Facebook video where I grabbed the steering stabilizer and went clank, 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 clank. The bushing was completely gone.
Yes.
I said, buy a Jeep. They said, it'll be fun. They said, clank, 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 clank. Wee. Yeah, that's my control arm bushings aren't soon to follow.
Yes, there is. Jeep by design got a lot of its articulation in the stock form from the sheet metal bending, but they really didn't plan on the bushings falling out.
Yeah. So it's a scary road trip right now. But as you were saying,
But you bought the parts.
Yeah.
And, folks, he went ahead, and when you add up the factory parts to do all 5 links on both axles, you call Will at Metal Cloak, and he can send you a whole kit of really nice stuff for just a few bucks more.
Yeah, I was a third of the way when I started nickel and diming. I'm like, why am I doing this? And in April, Dory said, get the lift. So in April, I bought it, and it was delivered in May. So it's been safely in the Jeep lift box in my storage unit since May.
Yeah, so we have a project to put a lift kit.
And it's already out of warranty.
A Metal Cloak lift kit.
I'm kidding.
And for those that don't know Will is one of the one of the good guys over at Metal Cloak.
Yeah. Him and Corey Osborne.
He and Corey, and I can't remember the young lady's name. I'm very sorry, but Corey and the young lady run the CTI trailer. Mm-hmm. They're fantastic, and Will is just a wealth of knowledge about what fits and what doesn't fit, and when it makes that funny noise, he'll describe the noise, and oh no, that's this. Yeah. Sorry, Will, I'm going to paint you off as God's gift to lift kits.
Well, but
you are.
Well, he reached out after Jeep Beach and said he'd like to be on the show. Just unfortunate, time and scheduling.
Yeah, there's been a few things life has inserted. Yeah, it has an insert button that overrides all of our deletes.
Yeah, just like we needed to hide the no stamp from the financial departments, we need to hide that override button.
Yeah, good luck on that one.
I'm trying.
Yep. Also, as far as up-and-coming teasers, I have been talking in the last show, and if you're following the posts, although there haven't been one in a week, I've been working with Shane over at Gulf Coast Driveshaft, and also known as Specialty Driveshafts of Tampa, and he runs the small. I don't want to. Well, it is. It's a boutique drive shaft.
It's a boutique drive shaft shop.
But the guys there would hate the term boutique. But they're a small group of highly skilled individuals, and they are building everything from custom CTS Cadillac aluminum shafts, working on developing with the manufacturers the carbon fiber systems.
Yep.
Of course, they do good old plain steel, any size, diameter, U-joint, flanges, and they've been troubled with deliveries. But I will tell you that Shane refuses to step down to the Chinese cheapie. Yeah. And he pretty much, now not every single thing, but he runs top-end materials from Napco, Sonax, and no, this isn't a paid endorsement or anything. It's just I've spent the last week and a half working with the guys in the shop as Shane is building his YJ. Right. We talked about that a little bit, and just a quick update. We kind of got stalled getting the speedometer working. Normally, I can explain electrical stuff very simply. Mm-hmm. We are beyond simple here.
We're no longer in Kansas, Toto.
No. What it boils down to, as short a nutshell as I can give you, is the Holley glass dash speedometer input requires something called a square wave signal. Right. And the easiest way to think of a square wave is you standing at the light switch going on, off, on, off, on, off. And if you do that, was it 4 times per rotation and added up to 8,000 revolutions, pulses per mile, well, that's what it uses to calculate it.
Yeah.
But there's also, if you pick up a long rope and start doing that little exercise where you make waves in the rope, you know what I'm talking about, whipping it up and down?
Oh, yeah.
That's a sine wave. Mm-hmm. And then there's what looks like a sawtooth wave, and whatever it is, the one requires, the dash requires a square wave, and what comes out of the Jeep sensor is not a square wave. I'm not sure what it is, but and we've gone through several sensors to the point that I made a little square wave generator and took it in to test, and that was this morning, and sure enough, the speedometer works. Yay! If you feed it the right food, it responds.
Well, that's good.
So we think we figured it out, many thanks to Dakota Digital, who has some components that can take in a myriad of different waveforms out of various different sensors and output various of other waveforms in the right multiplied number. Yeah, this is way beyond start at the battery and then back at the battery. This is in the I need an oscilloscope. And if you don't know what that is, believe me, it's more than I want to pay right now.
A quick question.
Yeah.
Now, you talk about sine waves, square waves. Now, would the oscilloscope help you find the Jeep wave?
He's back in true form, folks. You can stop worrying.
I gave Kevin and for my next trick, I'll think. I gave him the finger like I wanted to interject something, but it just worked out perfectly with the oscilloscope and the Jeep wave. I had to do that. I'm sorry.
And I will have to figure out how to make a little hand on the screen come up and wave at you, Scott, just so that I can annoy you with it. Anyway, it's the challenges, as I mentioned before. We're taking a 90 YJ that has been, I don't want to make the previous owners that he bought it from feel bad. They actually got it this way too, but it has been.
They were learning.
It was, well, no, it was before that, decided that he didn't need all that junk.
Yeah.
And he removed everything, whoever he was, apparently with a pair of just dull side cutters.
No, what did you call it? A pair of dull spoons or dull scissors?
Yes, dull scissors, because the ends of the wires weren't cut clean. They were mushed and mauled into separate pieces. And, of course, that leaves little hairs of copper everywhere, so that's where we found the wires had gone snap, crackle, fizz, burn.
Oh, those feel so good in your thumb.
Oh, they do. They do. And leave little red spots when you grab tools and you go, oh, I'm bleeding again. Crap.
Yeah.
But, and then you find the wires that, wait a minute, how did we burn the sensor wire to the brake switch? There's no current on that. Well, there is if you short it out to the high voltage, switch feed. And just, it was fun. It was fun. But it's been completely rewired, rebuilt. As I said, last show, removed everything that was damaged and we didn't need, removed everything that wasn't damaged and we didn't need, fixed everything that was damaged that we do need, and kept the few odd wires that were not damaged and still needed.
Yeah.
So those were the 4 conditions, and there's still a pile of interesting-looking spaghetti because I don't throw anything away till I'm done with the project because you know how it is when you go, explicative deleted.
I need that. Where is it?
Over in the pile.
You see the truck driving away right now?
Yes.
It's in the dumpster. If you run real quick, you can wave at it as it drives by.
So, we're into trying to marry. These are the challenges, though, of trying to take something that was built in 89 was probably when this one was fabricated, and bringing it and install components that were manufactured in 2021. And the technology just came into being in like 2018 or 2019.
Yeah.
And, those... I was able to get the new engine and transmission to talk to the old dash. Now I'm trying to get the old engine and transmission talking to the new dash. Yeah. And it's a little harder. The dash is pickier.
Well, what was funny, my nephew was sitting here and his eyes glazed over because, he's talking, I think he wants to be an engineer or something. And Kevin was explaining everything. And I basically said, it's kind of like getting your Nintendo Switch to work on your Xbox. He goes, oh, yeah, now I get it. Yeah. Interesting young man. He's got a future. He goes, well, I want to be an engineer, like an engineer teacher. And I said, well, and I kept asking him, what kind of engineer? And he goes, well, what do you mean? I said, look, son, engineering is a global, very wide-based term. Mm-hmm. Once you decide to be an engineer, you are an engineer in something. Yeah. We all think a certain way and work a certain way, but there are engineers that figure out power. There's engineers that figure out support. There's engineers that figure out bending stuff, rolling stuff, stamping stuff. Hydraulic.
Pumping stuff, pushing stuff, whatever. And I said, each one of us is a special field. And then there's engineers that manage all the other engineers, that are supposed to be generalists and know a little bit about everything, just enough to get in trouble.
I want to be a sofa engineer.
Well,
sitting on the sofa watching TV.
There's some of those. I'm not going to go there because,
professionalism reigns supreme here, right?
Right.
There you go.
Right. No, but young man seems to actually, I started showing him a few of the project pictures and some of the little pro bono jobs I've done, and his eyes lit up. He's like, oh, that's cool.
My favorite's still the chomping building. I am going to go to Earl's with those big, giant, googly eyes, and I'm going to put on that building.
Make me laugh when I'm swallowing, and you're going to...
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah, if you were drinking, I'm careful now because I learned my lesson. I don't want you to do a spit take over the microphone and board.
Yeah, snap. Hey, folks, it was nice to talk to you. Exactly. As the slags and comes down. But anyhow, so I'll try and get some pictures up. Ended up making a little square wave generator and a perf board and all these little parts and things, and figured out that, okay, it works, but it's too hard to transport. And me and Amazon basically, oh, look at that. I can buy that really cheaply for $8 for 5 of them. Yeah, I'll just buy a throwaway.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because I was talking to the gentleman from Dakota Digital today, and I said, yeah, I got a little, Chinese Industries square wave generator out there making sure the dash works. And he kind of laughed and a little snort and goes, yeah, we use them for testing too.
Hey, sometimes you got to use what you can use.
Yeah. For those of you who are electrical engineers or electronics engineers, it's just a simple 555 asynchronous monostable square wave generator. And Scott's over here going, okay, you just lost me. And that was intentional.
I was going to say, yeah, I know exactly what those are. Yeah, those are right next to the CP-47s. Burnt.
Yeah, no. The P-47 is an aircraft.
No, but the CP-47 is the clothespin they use to clip on the gel lights during studio recording. And if you get the pre-burnt ones, they don't burn again.
They don't smoke anymore.
Yes.
Yes, I'm aware of those. I worked in theater way back when. So anyhow, that's pretty much the garage. There hasn't been radical. I've have got my part in for my spare tire carrier to connect it to the tailgate, and unfortunately somewhere along the line the product changed and the part they sent me will not fit, so I'm on my own again. I did a little quick temporary to keep the tailgate on because I can't not have the Jeep running, so I've got to go do some parts digging. And people talk about a left-hand crescent wrench being hard to find. Try a left-hand threaded half-inch 13-pitch, half-inch hole rod end.
Oh, yeah, you get those as Ayers.
Yeah, Ayers doesn't exist anymore, bucko. Even McMaster Carr, which is usually the gift for any machinery. No.
404, file not found.
File not found. It's interesting, very, very interesting, and it's okay. I need to create a what would you call that thing? It's just an adjustment between two rod ends. It needs to be about 6 to 8 inches long, needs to have half-inch holes at either end, and needs to have high misalignment capabilities. So I've got some ideas as far as how I'm going to figure it out. It's trying to get all of that and have it 6 inches long.
Off the Tractor Supply or the fencing section.
That may be. That's one of my possibilities. Although
I got something right. I was being funny.
I know you were, but you'd be surprised what you can find in Tractor Supply.
Because you did the sway bar disconnect link thing. Yeah. See, I learned something.
So somehow that's one of those jobs that followed the classic Jeep synopsis that
yuck. I gave myself a dog treat. Oh, whoops. There you go, bud.
And he crinkled the dog treat bag, and there
I just tried to taste one. I can tell you right now, the Busy Bone Mini Chews from Purina, they don't taste good.
Well, they do to the dog. He's just
yeah, but he also licks his own feet.
He does. But this was one of those projects. It was only one AS away from a 3-day ordeal. And it was supposed to be a simple, take 2 bolts off, lift off the pieces of the old one, set the new one in place, and tighten 2 bolts.
Dude, you need to write a book, and that should be the title. one snap bolt from a 3-day ordeal.
Yeah, so that's part of owning a Jeep.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, it's taking patience with repairs. Like, a lot of times I see people give up so quickly on repairs. And I did it myself too sometimes, because sometimes you have to break down the information. You have to slow work and think outside the box sometimes to repair stuff. Like with the shift boot on my Comanche, they didn't offer that anymore. So I made one out of rubber. Sorry, Gunner's looking at me going, hey, can I get another treat down?
And I would, there's something I forgot to tell you on that. I have found the all else fails shift boot.
What's that?
Go to the plumbing section and get a witch's hat, a rubber adaptable witch's hat for vent pipes.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a flange around the bottom, and it's corrugated, and you cut it for the right size hole, and you can put is it pretty? No.
But it keeps exhaust fumes and mud from hitting
coming up and visiting, yes. And you can add a little steel ring to it. You can do all kinds of things, but the shape, and you can get small ones, mediums, large ones, and I realized that after you had told me that, but you'd already solved your problem, it's like, it's not probably, if it's a hot area, it's probably not going to last real long.
Yeah.
But, you know,
it worked.
If I was up at a Jeep event and playing in the river and the boot ripped, and every time I went swimming, the Jeep, that is, I had water coming in, I'd be running to my local Home Depot going, I need to go to plumbing.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like, what do we call it? The Home Depot and big box stores and Ace Hardware are the Jeep alternate parts stores.
Correct. They're correct. And every time I go in, can I help you? No, I'm doing design by walking around.
Yeah. And
they look at me weird. I said, well, I know what I need to do, but I got to go see what you got that I can make do it.
You know, this is going to sound really bad, but when my dad used to put models together, he'd kit bash and make cool little models, and he'd always call it. And to me, it's the same thing, and it sounds a little innocuous. Yeah. But we call it feeling his parts.
Yeah.
You know, because you get a feel for it, what will fit. You got to put it in your hand and see if it'll work, and take time to visualize something in your head. And sometimes you don't know if you visualize it till you get there.
Right. And, you know, I go in with a small tape measure and other things like that, and I'll go in and I can't use the word that I usually fiddle around.
Eureka moment.
Yeah, well, that too. And then you look at it and go, will it survive? You know.
That's what we got zip ties for. Oh, you'd be proud of me too.
Oh?
Speaking of which, I had jumper cables in my Jeep and I rescued Mandy one day.
Oh.
Yeah, and I still did the whole put my my eyes and did the jumper cables from like 8 feet away. You know, I held my arm out. You know, because it always scares me. But I jumped her and it worked, and I actually had the jumper cables in my Jeep.
That's awesome. I didn't tell you about Shane's son's. We had to rescue him.
No, you didn't tell you.
Yeah, he has a little Ford Focus. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little rough around the edges, but runs really, really good. Mm-hmm. But it died on him going to work one afternoon, and you know, I get a call from Shane. He says, I hate to bother you, but you know, my son's car broke down and it's in the middle of traffic. It's in a very busy intersection for those that don't live in here, and fortunately we found out he got it to the left turn lane and broke down early in the turn lane so people could go around him. And I said, well, I can go get my trailer, but it's on the other side of town, and it'll be an hour or two. And he's like, oh, I can get a guy. I said, well, why don't we see if we can get it running? And so I threw some things in the truck at this point because the Jeep was still not moving. Well, I could drive the Jeep, folks, but I didn't want the spare tire swinging out, bapping the car behind me, you know, going back off, like a Three Stooges, you know.
You know, in some areas in Florida, that's justified.
Yeah, the problem is it keeps on going around and then bashes out the passenger side window.
Yeah, let's not do that kind of kit back.
Yeah, no. Anyhow, so I take my F-250 diesel, you know, up there with the parts in it and the stuff, and we get over, and very first thing I do is check it, and the battery is like 7 volts. I said, the battery is dead. That's a new battery. I said, I get it. But but if it's not charging, you know. And we came to the decision. I said, look, we can try something. I said, do you have jumper cables? Mine, I grabbed them, and when I did, they broke in two. They were getting a little old in the Florida heat, so, you know, they died. So, and he's like, well, I don't. But he called his wife, and Mel was able to bring a set of cables. And I said, good. And he's like, so what are we going to do? I said, so I pulled the Ford up on the median in the grass up beside the little thing, and I'm looking over, and I said, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this carefully. We're going to pay attention. He goes, okay. He says, I've jumped plenty of cars. I said, I understand that. But you've got this little 4-cylinder Ford Focus with this little 24 series battery, and I have a diesel with 180 amp alternator and two, you know, 1200.
That starter to the moon.
Exactly. Actually, I wasn't worried about the starter. I was worried about the battery. You know, I'm going to start dumping amps in. And I said, now, we can bulk charge a battery pretty aggressively for about 85%. But he goes, well, how do you know if it's 85%? I said, it starts getting really hot when I hit that point. Yeah. And so we're 1, 2, 3, and the clamp, I put the last clamp on the ground of the Ford, and you could actually see the
yeah.
And then I'm like, okay. And I'm down there looking, and all of a sudden I grab it back off again. He says, what's the matter? I said, reset your positive. And he looked down there. There was smoke coming off the connection. I said, yeah, you got some grunge. Kind of wiggle it. And we got it back on. It went on again with, okay.
And it's like Doc Brown and Back to the Future.
Yeah. It's exactly what it felt like. And, the diesel goes, going, okay, you're not winning this little car.
Yeah.
And at that point, the car is going,
The car's like dragging its bumper on the ground.
pretty much. And I'm holding, he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm feeling the battery temperature. I said, it's already warm in something like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I'll try and start it. And I said, well, you can try. And it at least clicked now. It wasn't doing anything before.
Yeah.
I said, turn it off. We got to give it a couple of minutes to come back in. But then we decided that, okay, got it up, got it started. I said, so I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the cables, but temporarily, because we're going to go back to this. And I threw my battery analyzer on it, and it came back and said the battery was actually okay, needed recharged, but that there was no charging system left in the little. And of course, if any of you out there in Jeep land have as an alternate or know somebody with a little Ford Focus, you know that the alternator is buried on
under the car.
Yeah, on the back side of the engine, right about where the passenger's feet are. Mm-hmm. And getting to it is an absolute nightmare. And in fact, the service diagram tells you to do things that are ridiculous, and the forum, equally as ridiculously, had him disconnect the motor mounts on the passenger side and use a pry bar to rock the entire engine forward about 2 inches to get the bolts out of the alternator, because the bolts that mount it are too long to slide out of the alternator without running into the firewall. So
that's why people hate engineers, speaking of which.
Yeah, well, that's because the engineer that designed the engine had no idea what the car it was going to go into.
Yeah, the pencil pusher just decided, hey, we got this engine in back, let's use it there.
Yeah, lose it over there. So anyhow, we found out the charging system was bad. I said, okay, shut her down, put the chargers back on, and I'm going to take this thing right up to the ragged edge, and then you're going to turn off the air conditioner, the stereo. And he goes, okay, it's 96 degrees. And he kind of has I said, look, dude, I just did a check on another vehicle, and the clutch, the AC clutch pulls 13 amps. Yeah. So, you can't afford to spend 13 amps. Yeah. He goes, oh, no. I said, no, if you cut it down to just the ignition and your brake lights, because you can't control the brake lights, and use minimal turn signals, we should make it back to your shop on the charge. Yeah. And we successfully did, but it was just one of those interesting battery stories. And he goes, so you understand batteries? I said, with all my RVs, tractors, and everything, yes, I own a battery analyzer because I have 10 lead acid batteries between all my vehicles. And it has saved me a fortune. So yeah, that's kind of the battery world, and how I learned in the other battery issue I had, and I mentioned it the last show, was slightly altered. After I changed the radiator. She goes, yeah, I'm done charging. 2005 alternator, all the years, all the water, all the abuse. It said, well, if the radiator's leaving town,
I'm going to.
So I ended up putting a new alternator in, slightly altered, and she now actually keeps the battery charged. Amazing. Yeah. And more importantly is, on that one, the alternator on mine had shorted internally, so it was drawing current when the Jeep was off.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's one of the things I did the other day, because I've been driving the Gladiator, obviously a lot more, and I put 3,000 miles in 1 month in that thing. That includes a trip to North Carolina.
Right.
But I drove the LJ to your house.
Yep.
And I will say this, man, it was so nice to drive that LJ again. Stirring the gears and getting out there with my wind in my face hair, my goatee. And it actually felt so nice because, again, sometimes you kind of wonder, should I sell it? And I'm not going to now, obviously. But you get in that Jeep and you get the wind and the windows down, that raw feeling of being connected to that with that TJ. No, man, that was, even though the ride is really sketchy, it still was a blast to drive. And I can't wait to get that Metal Cloak lift on. I can't wait to go out there to a Jeep event. I can't wait to do a couple other things, too, that I'd like to do to it, project-wise. Some things that need to be done, again, like replacing the seats. But, again, it is so nice feeling connected to, again, because the Gladiator is nice. Don't misunderstand me, but it's like riding in the Ford. It's a rolling living room. It's a rolling sofa. And just bounce around, my arms hanging out the window, getting that nice Florida farmer's tan.
Yeah.
Life is so nice.
Only tanned on the left side.
Yep.
Yeah, yep. Yeah.
It does not suck.
I'm looking forward to getting slightly altered back on the road again. Again, I can drive it if I want to. I just don't want to slap cars around with the spare tire. And since I have an alternate, I'll have that probably solved this week. I'll come up with some suitable fix and get it operational again. And then it's time for the upside down as far as the rest of the world. I know all through the northern states, everybody's taking off tube doors and putting on full doors, and taking off half doors, and if they have them, taking off soft tops or spider webs and putting on the hard tops, and making sure their antifreeze is in there. And down here, we're all going the other way. You know, I button everything up hard for summer because I really don't like skin cancer and sweating. And now we're getting down to where we've had a few 80-degree days. We're not quite there, and my tube doors are going back on, and my hard top's coming back off, and my spiderweb shade's going back up on the roof, and I'm going for the open road, literally. I
have not driven my LJ without doors yet. And I have a feeling when we get that nice weather, I'm going to be driving my LJ without doors to work.
Yeah. We're going to have to find you some mirrors.
Oh, yeah.
And I know there's a lot of purists out there. Oh, you don't need mirrors.
Yeah. Nah, I like having mirrors.
Mirrors help you not get hit when you're changing lanes.
Yeah. And driving 50 miles one way.
Yeah.
Sorry, 25 miles one way. I'd like to have that extra feeling of a mirror there.
Yeah.
I don't want to drive by ear, just crunch. Oh, that's too far.
Yeah, well, usually they hit the tires first.
I think one of the things I am going to do is get the extended fenders to cover the wheels.
Oh, that's up to you.
Yeah, because I think, again, it all depends, because right now I run online my fenders and they're good. I want to see how much they are, because I
like them because the last time I ran short fendered, and don't get me wrong, guys that want to do it, that's fine, but I got that splat in the face of mud on the left eye, and then I looked back at the inside of my roof.
And there's that halo.
There's a ring of mud up through the inside of the Jeep. I don't know how Jeep came up with the geometry that a tire running under the vehicle hangs out far enough to throw, but it throws in a curve, so somehow it comes up like a curveball, and it's shot right in through the window,
up your left nostril.
Yeah, somehow it misses the A post, but it just dodges the B post and goes right all the way down to, like it's aiming for the rear tire, going, "You're sitting up there on the mount. Why are you clean? I'm going to throw mud at you," kind of a thing. And
I'll show you.
So this is a weird show, Scott. You know that?
No, it's good because we're laughing, we're having fun, we're off stressing, and I hope you, the listener, kind of liked it, because I mean, to be honest with you, life is planning has gotten in the way of a lot of things, and we like to give you guys the best content forward.
And I got to give Scott the credit there, because I kept saying, "Do you want to put the podcast in a hiatus?" And I kept getting no.
No, because this is therapy. This is fun because, again, you the listeners, and I said it in my post, you guys are our extended family, and you guys and gals and Jeepers, this is our therapy. This is our way to talk. This is our way to reach out to you. This is our gift to you, because you gave us the gift and support that makes this show popular. And and I don't mind saying the number. I can tell you right now, we've crossed another threshold in downloads.
Yeah.
We're 6 digits in times 2 now.
Yeah.
Which is really, 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 really cool.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be there without all of you.
Without the listeners. And Facebook is continuing. Those of you that are checking into the Facebook pages, it's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
The only thing I could ask is, if you're checking us out, go ahead and write us a message. Send us a note. Tell us what you'd like to hear.
We would love some show ideas.
Yeah, I'd love some show ideas, or even challenge me. Give me some ideas. And, some of those that you have, thank you. And I've tried to answer your questions. And, this, as we've said since day one, this is really your show, not ours. We just are the vehicle for you, and we'll pretty much, if it's Jeep related, from location to modification to location to I'm sorry, I said that the first time.
It's okay.
Through challenges, problems, I'll dig into what I can and help you out where I can.
I do know we have a couple emails out there that we haven't gotten to because, again, everything going on. One had a question about the 4.6 stroker versus the 4.0 or V8 swap. We'll get to that email soon.
Yeah, I've got some problems, by the way. I got to get with you. That one whole group came in. It just sits there, and my little wheel spins, and it will not let me open that whole chunk of emails.
Okay, and another one was about flat towing and had a bunch of questions the stuff we use. Oh, the ethereal clock's going.
Yes.
So we haven't forgot about you, and I know one listener and I promised a sticker to, and I haven't forgot about you because they had a great show idea. So just life's been a little chaos. Just give us a little time. I haven't forgot about you. I flagged all the emails. So
good.
We'll get there. And again, thank you for everything. But as ours, and not to get too commercial, if you want to help out, the Patreon page is there. The 4x4 Radio Network's there. And actually, I tagged you in a post, and we'll probably talk more next show. Mark is doing a regular fix about wiring with computers.
Yep.
And seeing some of that. So maybe we'll talk a little.
Remember, you've got to clarify which Mark. Now I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, because I tagged you in the post about one guy had problems with the wiring in his computer.
Right.
The wiring to the computer. So and about cleaning up wiring harnesses. I'm like, hey, that's Kevin's wheelhouse. So, but
it wasn't. It's become it.
It's become it. So we'll touch more on that. And there's a couple little cool things I want to do. One of the things is the Gladiator, the European model, they have fog lamps where the LED fog lamps where the reflectors are, and I kind of want to use those as a third brake light.
Okay.
So people know to stop, so they're not on their phone, that kind of thing. And they're plug and play. So
yeah.
But as far as that goes, just some really cool stuff. And again, thank you to everyone reaching out. We're probably gonna go ahead and wrap this up here in a minute. But Kevin, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, we are going through the issues with life right now with losses and gains and challenges and projects, and we appreciate everybody's patience.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is Scott has made sure that we've made every show, which is great. But if you got ideas for content, like Scott said, I'd love to hear it. If there's something you'd like to talk about, we will get to those. I didn't know we had them out there. I would have been reading them.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things. Again, communication's key, and I didn't communicate with you. But if you come up with a good show idea and we really like it, I will send you a sticker. It may be a couple of weeks afterwards, but I will send you a sticker.
And I guess one of the other questions we have is that we were talking about other merchandise. Is there other things that you guys would like? Would you be interested in T-shirts? Would you be interested in ball caps or what? You were looking at all that stuff.
I was kind of looking at the merchandising aspect, but again, I think our listeners. But again, this is me thinking. I think you guys would want more show content than swag, if you will. But if you want to reach out and you want a T-shirt, if there's enough interest out there, I may make a limited run of T-shirts.
Yeah. Right now, we don't have a whole lot of space.
Yeah.
Once the new barn is built that I'm building along with my house, there will be some space out there conditioned where, if we have to store merchandise, we can probably store it out there.
Yeah.
I just haven't been big on the merchandise.
It complicates things.
It does. It complicates it. But, on the other hand, if it's something folks want, that's okay with me.
Yeah. We were just under the idea of content's king.
Yeah. Well, I still think it is. If
so
you ain't got content, you ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing I want to mention, too, is a little bit of throwing a little love over to Eric, as he's on the YouTube channel Bleeping Jeep.
Yeah, how's he doing, by the way?
He's doing well. I was following posts. He had an event up at Tennessee's Windrock.
Yes, that's right.
And several of our peers, Ron and Robert and his wife, and even Ron's wife flew up there.
Yeah,
and the shot of her sitting in a 5-point harness with the scowl on her face, and somebody says, "You need a drink," and she says, "Alcohol isn't allowed," but she'll make up for it later.
Well, she's like Dory. She kind of hated the off-camber, like the whole flopping thing.
Yes, yeah. So, but they said they had a really, really great time up there, and shout out to all of those guys, and a shout out to Eric and Bleepin' Jeep for hosting the event. One of these days, Eric, we will get up there with you. Yes. We had the fortune to meet him at SEMA 2019, and some of the others, and of course Stacy, who we worked with the Jeep, the JK monster, so to speak, for Raceline. Introduced us again. So now it looks like it was a great time and a lot of fun for everybody. And then, as we said, you've got Jeeping with Judd coming up here, and you've got Crawling for the Fallen and Jeeptoberfest here in the Florida region. And probably the most important thing to me right now is we just started the strawberry sets in all the fields down here. So strawberry fields forever.
Yeah.
And yes, I know you in California, all of you guys do the same thing, so that's fine. But we're over here on the East Coast, and they put the beds in last week or week before, and I've just drove through the end of last week and this week, and they're out there putting all the sets in the fields, and pretty soon, by late December, early January, the first harvests of freshly grown strawberries.
And then we get the Florida Strawberry Festival.
Yes. But
favorite food.
And we get all the strawberries that are too ripe to ship out to the rest of you yutzes.
Strawberry cake as far as the eye can see. And again, fair food. Oh, last time we went, we had such good peppers and onions and all that, and sausages. And oh my God, I didn't
waste any time on that. I just went straight up to Clement Catholic Church's strawberry, thing where you pick whether you're going to have shortcake or what was it? Shortcake or biscuit.
Yeah.
And they put it in a bowl, and then you go over to this massive bowl full of marinated strawberries, macerated, I guess is the correct word, macerated strawberries and whipped cream, and you just load it up, and you can just, I'm sorry, that's about the time that I celebrate the anniversary of my entrance into the world, so that's my birthday present to me, is to go pig out on strawberry shortcake.
The best part is when you're done eating, there's a business card you get that says, "Welcome to diabetes." I'm kidding. It doesn't say that.
It's fruit. It's good for you.
Yeah, but the Cool Whip and the pound cake. Are you a biscuit guy or a pound cake guy?
I'm actually I guess it's technically the pound cake, the little
angel food cake or whatever.
Yeah, the angel food cake slice. And
you haven't lived till you've had something from Plant City. I'm sorry. I know you Californians out there going, Plant City. Nope.
And by the way, it has nothing to do with the green stuff. It's from HB Plant, the railroad magnets.
Exactly.
The town came. But everybody just thinks it's a farming community, which it is.
For strawberries.
And actually, all year round, after the strawberries come the melons and the peppers, and they rotate constantly, because like SoCal, we have multiple growing seasons out here, and the soil is pretty healthy. They'll have a soybean crop, and it's just, but when they go in strawberries, the entire place turns into strawberries.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Now I'm hungry.
Now I am too. Folks, with that, as we say, I think we've kind of gone far enough on this one.
Yeah, I think it's time we lock hubs.
Put the Jeep in four low
and grab a fork.
And I'm going to hit the trail.
Exactly. All right, always remember, always take nothing but pictures, memories, and your trash when you leave the trail.
Yeah, we want to keep them clean and open for our kids and our kids' kids and our kids, whatever. You know what I mean.
Exactly. down the road.
Down the road. And make sure you tune in another 2 weeks. Scott and I will get in front of the microphones and talk about something hopefully you guys want to hear.
Yeah, we're going to dig deep. We want you guys to dig deep, too. And if I have to send out 5 good stickers, I'll send out 5 good stickers.
I have a box of the original stickers that were supposed to be See, now he's getting to me where English is a second language.
Mumbleese is the first?
Yes. They were supposed to be printed on clear stock, and they came in on white.
Yep.
So I got lots of white back stickers. So, if your Jeep's white or you want a sticker that's black on white.
Oh, speaking of stickers, eventually I got to get a new windshield banner. I have to do that. I got my windshield replaced over a year ago, and still don't have my new pot. I'll have to get with James.
Well, okay.
Is it just James or Jason? Or?
James. I mean, James Connell is our host and was our cutter. I hope he's still cutting vinyl. I don't know. It's been so long since we bought one.
Hey, we'll find out, right?
We'll find out.
Cool.
All right, folks. Take care. Thanks again for all, and have a good one.
Later. Bye.
Proceeding has been provided for entertainment only. Proper service and repair procedures are vital to the safe, reliable operation of all motor vehicles, as well as personal safety of those performing those repairs. Standard safety procedures and precaution, including the use of safety goggles and proper tools and equipment, should be followed at all times to eliminate the possibility of personal injury or improper service which could damage the vehicle or compromise its safety.
What he said. Thanks a lot for listening, guys. You guys have a great day.
Bye.
This has been a Bent Axle Media production.